Good afternoon. Scripture today comes from John 14:6. Jesus said, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. You can see I got the CRV up on the jacks. We're going to do a little bit of a tune-up. Change out spark plugs, air filter, oil, and oil filter. So this is a 2005 Honda CRV. I've got it up on the ramps, the wheel ramps, but it's always a good idea to throw some jack stands under there, just in case. And actually, while I was putting that up, I was adjusting this jack stand right here, and a bee, actually a hornet, had made a home in there. And I got a good old stinging on my hand, so sprayed that all down, and I think we should be good. So, obviously, the basic tools you need for an oil change. You need an oil pan, you need a funnel, you need a rag, and whatever wrench size. You can use a socket too. I believe it's a 17. A lot of oil drain bolts are 17 millimeter. I'm pretty sure that this one is too. So we're going to go ahead and change that out. This is what we're using here. I've got this marked because I'm also doing a change on the other car today. So we've got the oil and the oil filter, and then we'll come back and do the air filter and the spark plugs. So the first thing you want to do, I'm going to say the first thing to do is actually to get the hood popped. Not that it matters much, but I like to take the filler cap off. Let's see, get my beer. I like to take the filler cap off just as kind of an air release when I'm draining it. Just kind of open it up just like that. Then come under here. Oh, I better get a flashlight. All right. Right there. Easy access. That is the drain bolt. So we're gonna go ahead and undo that. Get my wrench here. All right, now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and slip out. Get my drain pan under here. And this always shoots out a little farther. It's not a direct drop. So, right about there. And I'm just going to do the rest by hand. There we go. Yeah, she was due. And some dark oil. As this starts to drop, you can readjust the pan a little bit. It's not going to shoot any farther than that, so it'll start to drop straight on soon. And then once this kind of slows down, we're going to go up to the oil filter and get that off. So I'll check back in as soon as we're ready for that. All right, we got this down to a slow drip. And the next thing we're going to do is grab the oil filter wrench. Oh. Now, this thing could still be dripping for a while. So I'm going to just kind of move this just out of the way, just a little bit. We're going to try to slip in here and So right up there, you see that STP? That is the oil filter. So what we're going to do, we're going to reach our filter wrench up here, slip it over top, and then as you pull on this is going to start to release. And it's kind of a weird angle to get up in here. Sorry, it's kind of hard to get the camera up where you need to see it. So anyway, this is kind of how you get the filter out. Take the oil wrench, press it up, and I'll show you more what this looks like with the filter off. So I'm going to go ahead and get this filter out. It's going to drain, and I'll show you, for those that aren't used to this, what the motion looks like to get the filter off and how this oil filter wrench works. All right, we got the filter off. My filter wrench is, I think about done. It's just gotten worn through the years. So I actually took some electrical tape and I shallowed up the diameter, gave a little extra rubber grip on there. It just, I was maxing out and it wasn't giving me enough grip. So I'll show you kind of how this works. This is the new filter. Okay, so when it's screwed in, the way that this works is you slip it right over the filter. Let me try to prop this up a second so you can kind of see what I'm referring to. All right. Whoa. There we go. So as you kind of push, if you push up, then you can actually pull the whole filter this way. Pushing up crimps it down. So as it's in there, you push up on the left side, and then it gives you torque to be able to pull it the other way. So to tighten it, it would be the opposite. Put it on this side, push up on the right end, and then bring it over. Now, something to keep in mind especially when you're putting on a new filter, there's a rubber gasket in here. The old rubber gasket, you need to make sure you have that off. If you put a gasket on an old gasket, you're going to have a leak. I've heard of a lot of guys drive away after an oil change and it's leaking oil, and they look and it's coming from the filter, and it's because they left the gasket. So every time I take an old filter off, I always make sure that I have the gasket in place. So the other thing you want to do before you put this one back on the bike is take some fresh oil and just run it around the edge, and then go ahead and screw this back in. I've already got my old drain plug, my old oil drain plug back on. I just got to tighten it. So tighten that up, put this back in, and then you add your oil. So I'll cut over to that step. Okay, so oil filter is on, and we got the oil drain bolt secure. So now we're going to go ahead to our filler cap. I'm going to put the funnel in. And we're going to go ahead and add in. I always add in 5 quarts. I think it's like 4.5 quarts is what they recommend for an oil change with an oil filter. But a lot of mechanics will just say, go ahead and put in 5 quarts. That's not going to be enough to damage your seals, especially in an engine that's this big. If it was a motorcycle, putting in that much might, with an engine that smaller size, might be enough to damage some seals. But 5 quarts should be fine. So I'm going to add that whole 5 quart container and just slowly pour it right in there. When I'm done, cap it, let it sit for a little bit. I'll run it just to get the viscosity. The warmer the oil is, the thinner it gets, and it can kind of settle into where it's going to be, and then we'll check the oil level, and then we'll move on to air filter and plugs. Okay, so the next step is going to be the air filter, and there's just a few steps for this, but it doesn't take a long time. So you're looking at the engine just behind the battery terminal. You've got the air hose. This is your air filter housing. There are 5 screws. I can point them out here. There's one right down there. One over here, one up there, one over there, and one right there. And all you need to do is loosen them. You don't need to take them out, but just loosen them. And then there is a screw right down here on the clamp for the air hose. And then you need to just take some pliers and crimp this down, move it over, and we're going to just pull off the entire housing, pull this tube off, pull this hose off, remove the entire housing, and that will expose the air filter. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. All right, housing is off. There's the air filter. Take that right out. Yeah, probably due for a change. Grab the new one here. Make sure there's nothing in here that needs to be clean. It looks pretty clean in there. Sometimes you get some debris and things that fall in there and need to clean it out, but it looks pretty clean. So drop that right in there. And then you just do the reverse order. Put this back on. I'm about to check the engine oil level again. Make sure that's good. So we'll get this back in. Then we'll go to the plugs. Alright, so we just checked the oil level and everything looks good. It's right where it should be. So now what we're going to do is change the plugs out. So what we need to do is take off this cover. This is a coil cover. So underneath here should be the coil packs. And then we'll remove the coil packs and it'll expose the cavity for the spark plug cylinder. So we'll go ahead and take these. I think these are a 10 millimeter. They might be 8s, but we'll go ahead and remove this here. So I got the cover off, and I wanted to show you something here. So these 2 longer bolts I have come from the back posts, and then you see I've got one nut which came off of here, and the other stud, you see how it's missing? It's because it came off with the coil cover. It's not bad, but I'm going to have to get a wrench and I'm going to have to hold one end and then hold the other and twist that. We're also going to have to remove remove these. These are the bolts for the coil packs, and then we'll pull those out. Okay, I've already got the other 3 out, but these are the electrical harnesses that go in to the coil packs. Okay, coil packs basically are coming from your distributor, and they're telling the spark plugs when to fire. So you just kind of wiggle it loose, and then you can kind of lift up on it, and they've got just a little clip in here, and then you can pull this loose. Of course, one-handed is always harder. There we go. And then I like to just set these in order the way they came out of the engine. Okay. Now at this point, you can look down in, see your spark plugs. Before you pull them out, it's a good idea to just kind of blow this whole area, make sure that nothing can fall into the engine there. You don't want anything getting inside these cylinders. So, but after that, the next step is take a a spark plug socket. This one's got a little rubber grommet on the inside, so it can grab the spark plug as you pull it out. I think this is a 5/8. I've got another size too if this isn't it. I think it's a 5/8, so just hooks onto your ratchet, and then you can pull the spark plug out and replace them. These come pre-gapped. If they're pre-gapped, you shouldn't have to worry, but I always still check them. So if you have a spark plug tool, you can use feeler gauges if you like those, or they have kind of a preset one here. You can just drag it, you know, to where you need to. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, just wrapping up on the video now. We've got the spark plugs changed out, and we've got the coil packs reinserted. We got the wire harnesses back on the coil packs. And these are the posts that I was talking about. This is the side that actually stuck. So the post goes in, screws in, holds down the coil pack, and then it has this top area here that allows for the coil cover to be secured down. So if you can't get a socket on here, which I don't think you can, I guess if you have a deep well socket that might. I actually haven't tried. Let me take a look. This is just a 10mm socket. Yeah, it's just a little too shallow for these. So all you got to do is get a 10mm wrench. Make sure that's down, secured down there. All right, and then we're just going to go ahead and get the cover on. Okay. So these back areas here, get the bolts, and the front ones get the nuts. Okay, nut on there, there's a nut on there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get these screwed in, get these tightened up, and then we'll fire the car up, and then that'll be it. Okay, everything is put back together. We're going to go ahead and crank this over. Wonderful. All right. Thanks for tuning in to another episode, and we will see you next time.